Well, Estonia is a NATO member and a neighbour of Russia. The country's foreign minister spoke to me last hour. I began by asking Urmas Reinsalu what information NATO had to make them concerned about an attack on critical infrastructure right now.
First, of course, we are making additional security arrangements on civil infrastructure, but also we are very cautiously looking also of possible threats coming from hybrid attacks against the NATO borders. As we do remember from last year, what happened in the borders of Poland and Lithuania, coming attacks from Belarus soil.
As a frontline neighbour, though, Minister, does Estonia have any intelligence here that Russia is perhaps planning specific attacks on allies' infrastructure?
Well, I think you just look to the past, and this is a response. We remember already before the fall of this stage of war last year, there was a explosion organized by Russian operatives against ammunition reserves in Czech territory. We do remember assassinations, poisonings, radioactive agents put to the territory of NATO countries. And also, I think the last explosions in Baltic Sea. I think this is rather looking suspiciously as a handwriting of Russian operatives. And in that context, I think we should be prepared to all actions which Russia establishes, first to threaten us, to play a certain chicken game against NATO, and secondly also by trying to tie our hands in some other region, not to orientate in the Ukrainian territory and the war.
We have heard some, I think it's fair to say, some fighting talk from President Putin, some nuclear saber rattling. Are you worried by what you've been hearing so far?
Of course, when nuclear country makes nuclear threats, it is not a joke anyhow. But I think it is a part of this chicken game, and we should not fall to that entrapment. We should be determined and give also this symmetric response as well. The White House has made a clear statement also that the price tag of using either civil nuclear objects as a tool of nuclear terror or nuclear weapons would be enormous price to Putin's regime.
You know, we have been seeing, and you mentioned that the escalation, and we've been seeing for the last weeks, in fact, for the last 7 months, escalation after escalation. How does, Minister, this end? Because sanctions haven't really moved Putin, haven't deterred him. We've also seen diplomacy hasn't changed his calculus. So where do you go from here? Is there an off-ramp, in your opinion?
No, I think that, of course, the only person who can immediately end the war is Putin. It's very clear. And now, but he's doing it only if the price goes too high for him. And I think the Western community has cut the dog's tail by slices. We in Estonia to have such thing. And I think now we have to immediately ramp up, as I stated, that we have moved gradually. We have responded to his escalative steps. Now we should take a new page in our ramping up against our adversary, which is Putin's regime.
On that ramping up, Minister, we've heard President Zelensky today appealing, of course, for air shields, given, of course, what we've seen, that kind of barrage from Russia. How likely is this to happen, you think?
Of course, we have to take very seriously all the calls coming from Ukraine, our solid friends. And I think what is indeed needed is a new level, a new deliverable by Western countries to air defense, to defend particularly the civilian areas, civic infrastructure, particularly also before the winter fall, where Russia's attempt is indeed to destroy civic infrastructure, which is intentionally, again, one further war crime.
But what we have heard from Russia's ambassador to the US, and I'm sure you heard this too, Foreign Minister, is warning the US and its allies of further supplying Kyiv with such weapons, calling this a red line of sorts. Is this a risk, in your opinion?
Well, all the policies of, in a way, of appeasement, what we have, maybe in some cases have used to avoid escalation, have led us where to this genocidal type of war. And now I think we should not to be frightened. What more can happen? The genocide is taking place, and in the sake of humanity, in the sake of our own security of Europe, we have to act. And this is determination should lead us not to be frightened either by Putin's ambassador or himself.
Foreign Minister, really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us tonight. Thank you, sir. Strong words there from the Estonian Foreign Minister. And join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another NATO perspective. Canada's Defence Minister will join me live during the show. I'll ask Anita Anand what she knows about NATO's increased security, how the bloc should respond to Russia, and whether she's worried about Putin making good, of course, on his latest threats. We've given you the Latvian view, Foreign Minister. The Estonian, tomorrow we'll give you more analysis. Still to come.